Hey, I'm Jozef Chen. I'm here at Bangtao Muay Thai and MMA in Phuket, Thailand. We're doing a seminar here today, me and Dima. Yeah. First, let's talk a little bit about how we want to look to approach hand fighting. Because obviously, I'm not just going to set up a leg lock by grabbing his leg, and I'm not just going to wrestle up just by going into a shot straight away. Because both of these attacks are fairly obvious for my opponent to anticipate. So if I were to just try to grab his leg, he can just step his leg back. He might be able to down block. I wouldn't be able to actually get to this attack on a good opponent without setting it up. So the way I'm going to set this up is through a hand fight. So especially when we're in a seated situation, my partner is going to try to find a way to put me to my back. Because from here, the issue with playing from a seated position, I have a better ability to engage my partner than if I were supine. If Dima walks back, I can chase him while I'm seated. As opposed to if I were on my back, I don't necessarily have this ability. So being able to dictate engagement is very important because you can choose when to engage and making sure it's on your terms. Versus if you're on the back foot, it can lead to a lot of bad things happening. So the way we're going to look to play our engagement from our side is timing when he's going to look to put me to my back and then using that opportunity to attack him. So generally, the two most common ways people are going to look to put you to your back is by either pushing on your shoulder and putting you to your back or lifting your ankles, right? And so generally, if they just do one or the other, it's pretty easy to predict, but usually they're going to try to use these in conjunction. So they go high and then switch low and so on. So we want to be able to anticipate this and then use this opportunity to off balance and get a grip on my partner. So the grip that I tend to favor is a 2-on-1 elbow. And so from here, I'm going to use this as my opponent starts looking to make a grip, either pushing on me, and it can be with one shoulder, on one shoulder or both shoulders. For the sake of demonstration, we can only do one, but you can do it on either side depending on your own preference. Or he's going to be looking to grab my ankle. And in both situations, we're going to be able to kind of use his attack, whether it's him pushing me back, and use this as a means to off balance, or when he grabs the ankle, I'm going to use this as an opportunity. I can bring my own knee in, grab the 2-on-1, and once again use this to off balance my partner. I want to try use an initial pull motion just to try get a reaction. If he pushes on my shoulder and I get this pull motion going, if this works, wonderful in terms of actually getting his hand to the mat. If this doesn't work, we'll talk about some follow-ups. So I want to first talk a little bit about this off balance when our opponent pushes on our shoulder. I don't want to go straight for, I don't want to give max resistance and go straight for this 2-on-1. Because if he pushes on me and I have max resistance, I'm not necessarily going to get him to commit a lot of weight once he feels this 2-on-1. So a lot of times what I like to do is I kind of like to give him a little bit of what he wants in the sense where I let him push me back a little bit so he commits his weight even more forward. And as I start looking to come to this position where you see my shoulders are behind my hips, I can grab a 2-on-1 and I can start looking to pull his hand to the mat. From this position, what I'm going to look to want to do is bring my partner's knee to the mat. And the way I'm going to look to do this is, especially once I've put his hands to the mat, I'm going to use my heel behind Dima's knee and use my left shin on his shin to extend his foot out. So from here, you can see how I can force Dima into the kneeling position. So if we come back, I pull him in as I fall, and then I push his knee to the ground. From here, initially, depending on Dima's reaction, we have a few options to either start looking to attack the back, or we have options if he faces me to start looking for knee levers and start looking to put him to the mat and then start looking to get top position. We'll cover in a moment on the next teaching portion what happens when they do take their knee off of the ground and what options we may have. But what I want you guys to do for this first teaching portion is basically getting this first initial off balance when they push, so kind of baiting him to commit a little bit more than he usually would. So I'm resisting a little bit, he pushes me, and then as I fall, I get to this 2-on-1. I use this reverse De La Riva-esque hook to bring his knee to the mat and take his foot off. So now his knee comes down. If he doesn't really put weight into me, I'm going to be looking to get to the back. When I get to the back, I want my ear to his back just so it's hard for him to use a whizzer. He tries to whizzer me. It's not going to be difficult. It's not going to be very easy. And then once I put his hand to the mat, is this hand okay? Or I'm going to look to post my right hand on his hand. This is just going to make it easier for me to stay behind him. Because if I weren't to do this and I were to just post on the mat, it's possible that as I start looking to heist up, Dima can get an underhook on me. So from here, as I put him to the mat, I use my left leg as a pendulum. I post on his hand, and I have my ear to his back. So now when he tries to move, there's weight on his hand. It's going to be fairly easy for me to either look to pull him backwards, or if I feel like there's a lot of resistance in this department, I can start looking to come up and take his back this way. We're not going to go too in-depth on this, but just introducing this idea. And then in the second situation where we feel like this is difficult, he's putting weight into me because he doesn't want me to be able to start looking to heist behind him. So I'm basically going to use this as an opportunity to, initially I try to pull him, but he takes weight off of his hand. I'm going to push this hand across his body as I start looking to fall to my own back. It's important that I look at my lower body and see what I'm doing here. It's because Dima's pushing weight into me that it's going to make this knee lever easier. When I do this knee lever, I post my feet outside of Dima's knee, and it's not a bridge. I'm just turning my own knees to get him to the mat. And we can use these two in conjunction. Don't just think that if you fail one, you can't transfer back to the other. So if I were to be here, I can go for this. I initially go for the back take, but he starts looking to face me. I can go back to this, and vice versa. Because from here, I try to go for the knee lever, but then he takes his weight off. From here, I can go back to this. So this is just like a brief introduction to the off balance we're doing, and then bringing their knee to the mat, and the two options we have from here. Next portion is what happens when they take their weight off the knee. So this is fairly simple. Hopefully it makes sense. Let me know if you have any questions. Just call me over. All good? So 1, 2, 3. Yeah, this is wonderful. Yeah. And we're really trying to use his push against him. It's like he's really trying to push us down, and then we just pull him off of that. Yeah, and generally with the knee lever, I have a preference to place my feet outside of my partner's knee. But instead of playing with my feet to the inside, I want to play with my feet to the outside. So now when his knee tries to slide out, it's very difficult. As opposed to if my feet were here, he can kind of shoot this leg in deeper. I really want to wedge it into place. And then from here, I can start looking to use a knee lever. So when you do the knee lever, I feel like you're trying a little bit too hard for it. When you do this, a few things. I want to really get my foot to the mat. You see my right foot? I want to touch the mat with my right foot, and I'm stepping on my own foot. And not only am I just going to like try to hit it from here, but it's important that I'm cognizant of where his weight is. If his weight's not on me, like right now his weight's not on me, I'm going to look for the back. Now he wants to fight the back. He doesn't want me to take his back. He drives weight in. That makes this move a lot easier. Right? So if you feel like you're having to pull him onto you, I suggest the back take. But if you feel like, okay, he's really driving weight onto you to make the back take difficult, then that's when the knee lever is more appropriate.
Okay, so I should go for the back take first.
Depending on where his weight is. The sequence or the order in which you're doing it is depending on what his reaction is. If there's weight on you, okay, knee lever. If there's no weight on you, it's the back take. That makes sense? So if you try that real quick. Yeah, so if there's no weight on you, use your left leg to swing yourself up and attack the back. Yeah, kind of like this. From here, basically hand fighting in terms of trying to use your opponent's like attempt at offense to get into your own offense, and then using that to either attack the back or like achieve a sweep. Playing between because once they have their knee on the mat, you can really play between either or. So.